If you found this video, it's because the transformation has already begun. You're only noticing it now. Maybe you've felt it lately. That strange sense that something shifted, though you can't explain why. Scrolling through your phone feels different. Music you once loved suddenly feels empty. Conversations with friends don't carry the same spark. These aren't coincidences. This video didn't appear by accident. It's reality itself scanning your awareness, pulling you into a process already unfolding. You're not just watching, you're being watched, called into a momentum too strong to ignore. This spontaneous quantum transformation doesn't need meditation, rituals, or perfect discipline. It activates the moment your consciousness reaches vibrational critical mass. That's why some mornings you wake up and feel disconnected from routines that once defined you. Maybe the food you used to crave tastes bland. Maybe your favorite hangout now feels strangely heavy, or perhaps you find yourself longing for quiet even when surrounded by noise. These aren't signs of being lost, they're signs of alignment. Like shedding an old skin, you're simply releasing what no longer matches your field. And in that realization, you begin to see you're not breaking down, you're breaking through. It's strange how, at certain moments in life, there's this subtle feeling that something has changed. No logical reason, no external event to point at, yet consciousness senses that a new process is unfolding. This spontaneous impulse generates a quiet momentum, as if the quantum field begins scanning your inner state. In that instant, the universe seems to whisper information through synchronicities, small signs appearing effortlessly, but carrying the energetic potential of transformation. These synchronicities often show up in simple yet profoundly striking ways. Maybe you hold an unspoken question in your mind and suddenly stumble upon a phrase in a book, a lyric in a song, or a video that feels like a direct answer. Reality becomes a spontaneous field of messages, like consciousness itself is receiving recognition. It's as though the universe has its own language, unfolding in acceleration, translating inner momentum into outer manifestations. Take repeating numbers, for example. The clock flashes 11:11, license plates echo identical patterns, or receipts display numbers that catch your eye. These synchronicities aren't mere coincidence. They're manifestations of awareness resonating with the field. The process is a kind of recognition, showing that your inner impulse is creating ripples in reality. It's the universe's way of affirming that transformation is already in motion, even before your rational mind can grasp it. Technology, too, can feel like it's part of this energetic process. Ever notice how you think about a subject and almost instantly a video, article, or post related to it pops up? Some call it algorithms, others coincidence. But through the lens of consciousness, it's the quantum field reflecting your energetic state. Manifestation isn't about what you try to control. It's about what already aligns with your frequency, unfolding in the exact moment your awareness is ready. Nature also speaks the language of synchronicity. A bird crossing your path during a moment of doubt, trees moving unusually when you're reflecting on a choice, or even unexpected encounters with animals carrying symbolic weight. Reality at this stage stops being fixed and external. It becomes a mirror of consciousness itself. The more aware you are, the more undeniable these signs become, unfolding spontaneously as markers that momentum is gathering in your field. At first, this flood of synchronicities can bring both awe and confusion. The rational mind wants to decode the process but fails to find logical explanations. That's the invitation, to allow space for the spontaneous, to notice that the universe doesn't operate only in linear cause and effect. There's an energetic acceleration shaping potential realities. Awareness deepens when you stop forcing recognition and let the information unfold in its own timing. A practical step here is keeping a synchronicity journal. Write down repeating numbers, dreams, unexpected encounters, or phrases that appear at just the right moment. This process not only strengthens awareness, it creates momentum for more signals to unfold. The field responds to recognition. The more you notice, the more synchronicities accelerate. It's like training your consciousness to speak the universe's subtle language of transformation. The most fascinating part is realizing that once you start noticing these invisible signs, you can't go back to living on autopilot. It's as if a hidden layer of reality has been unlocked. And yet, this is only the beginning. The field, in sending these impulses, is preparing you for something deeper. The breakdown of everything that no longer fits the frequency you've stepped into, which is exactly where the next stage begins. There comes a moment when the old personality begins to quietly dissolve, almost like sand slipping through your fingers. What once felt stable, your habits, your roles, even your motivations, suddenly feels hollow. This process doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It enters softly through emptiness, apathy, or the sudden urge to withdraw. Consciousness is recalibrating, and the quantum field is aligning momentum toward a new identity. It's not depression. It's the acceleration of transformation, dismantling what no longer serves. Imagine your inner operating system being rebooted. All the apps you've been running, people-pleasing, chasing validation, clinging to routines, are temporarily shut down. The screen goes dark, and in that silence the system prepares for an update. The old process is dissolving to make space for higher energetic potential. That's why you might feel less interested in social noise, or why once exciting things no longer spark momentum. The field knows your consciousness is unfolding towards something greater. During this stage, awareness often feels split. Part of you resists, clinging to familiar patterns, while another part longs for solitude. You may find yourself saying no to invitations, craving quiet evenings, or stepping away from conversations that drain your energy. This isn't isolation for the sake of hiding. It's a spontaneous impulse to protect the fragile recognition of your new frequency. The universe is gently pulling you out of what no longer resonates. I've seen people mistake this stage for burnout or even depression, but the difference is subtle yet vital. Depression feels heavy, like momentum is collapsing inward. Dissolution feels spacious, like reality is unfolding outward, but without clarity yet. A friend once told me she felt like a blank page during this process. Empty, yes, but full of potential waiting to be written. That's the field preparing her consciousness for manifestation, aligned with her future self. Practical example. Instead of forcing yourself into social interactions, give yourself permission to read books that nurture your inner expansion. Titles like The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer or Awareness by Anthony DeMello can act as companions in this recalibration. They provide language for what feels indescribable. As you absorb this information, your mind slowly aligns with the transformation already pulsing in your energetic field, accelerating the process without resistance. This stage is often marked by subtle synchronicities that confirm you're on the right path. Maybe you think of needing rest, and suddenly plans are cancelled. Or you feel the urge to step back, and someone reassures you it's okay. The universe organizes momentum through these invisible signals, letting you know that unfolding into solitude isn't weakness, it's awareness restructuring itself. The dissolution of persona is the shedding of layers, so the essence can finally breathe. There's also humor hidden in this process. You might laugh at yourself, realizing how much energy you once spent maintaining masks. The old persona was like a stiff costume, heavy, uncomfortable, yet worn daily. When it dissolves, you notice how light it feels to drop the role. Transformation doesn't always roar, sometimes it whispers, reminding you that reality is more authentic when you stop pretending. The quantum field supports you the moment you stop resisting. What comes next is the inevitable collapse of possibilities, the point where the field no longer entertains every version of you, but begins narrowing into one aligned with your true frequency. This is where the wave function collapses, and reality reveals its hidden mechanics. The old self dissolves, not just to leave you empty, but to prepare you for the quantum collapse that reshapes everything you thought you knew about choice and manifestation. The concept of quantum collapse may sound abstract, but in lived experience, it feels like reality suddenly choosing sides. Imagine standing before countless doors, each representing a version of your life. As long as you resist, the doors remain blurred, none of them solid. But the moment you let go, one door crystallizes into form. That's the wave function collapsing, not in a physics lab, but inside your consciousness. Reality isn't responding to what you want, it's responding to what you've already become. This is why wanting alone isn't enough. You can repeat affirmations, visualize endlessly, chase outcomes with desperation. But if your state of being hasn't shifted, the field won't collapse into that version of reality. The impulse of desire creates momentum, yes, but without alignment, it remains potential energy. The process unfolds only when the observer, yourself, embodies the frequency of the manifestation. Transformation begins when awareness stops asking and starts being. Think of water boiling. You can heat it slowly, but until it reaches that exact point, it won't transform into steam. The moment the threshold is crossed, the process unfolds spontaneously. Quantum collapse works the same way. When your inner state reaches critical mass, the field reorganizes, synchronicities accelerate, new opportunities appear, and reality locks into alignment. Not because you forced it, but because you reached the energetic point where collapse was inevitable. A practical example: someone desperate for financial security may constantly think, "I need money," yet their field resonates with fear, lack, and anxiety. The collapse reflects not the words, but the state of being, bringing more scarcity. Contrast that with someone who embodies gratitude and trust, acting from a reality where abundance already exists. Their awareness shifts, and suddenly the universe delivers unexpected opportunities, synchronicities, and connections. The field collapses in favor of what consciousness has already become. The fascinating part is how neutral the universe is in this process. The field doesn't judge, it simply reflects momentum. Like a mirror, it shows exactly what's present without preference. If you resist, you collapse into resistance. If you embody peace, you collapse into manifestations aligned with peace. Awareness of this mechanism is liberating because it removes blame and shifts power back to the observer. You are not waiting on the universe is waiting on you. It often feels unsettling because collapse means letting go of other possibilities. The old self imagines loss, thinking, "What about the other versions of me?" But collapse isn't limitation, it's liberation. Without this process, you'd remain paralyzed in infinite potential, never experiencing the momentum of one chosen reality. Consciousness can only fully recognize itself when it steps into form, and that requires the courage to let the quantum field decide through you. Personal story. I once resisted leaving a job that drained me. My mind kept entertaining countless what-if scenarios, but the moment I accepted that the role no longer matched who I had become, doors I didn't even know existed collapsed into place. New work, new people, new opportunities. It felt instantaneous, but in truth, the process had been unfolding for months. The universe wasn't punishing me, it was waiting for awareness to stop resisting the collapse. And here's where the journey deepens. Once collapse happens, the field doesn't stop. It begins a feedback loop, feeding momentum into your new frequency. Suddenly, time feels accelerated, events pile up, and synchronicities come faster than you can process. The quantum collapse is not an ending. It's the ignition point for the field to mirror your transformation with even greater intensity. And that leads directly into the next stage, the feedback loop with the field. Once the quantum collapse takes place, something remarkable begins, a feedback loop between your inner state and the field itself. The reality you step into doesn't just stabilize, it starts amplifying. Each thought, each impulse of awareness generates momentum, and the field reflects it back with accelerated intensity. Suddenly you feel as if time is rushing, as though multiple layers of reality are unfolding at once. This is the energetic echo of coherence meeting manifestation. It's like dropping a stone into still water. The ripples spread outward, but here's the twist. The field sends ripples back. Your consciousness becomes both cause and effect, observer and observed. Synchronicities no longer appear randomly. They pile up, weaving into chains that feel too precise to dismiss. The process becomes recursive. Your awareness fuels the universe, and the universe feeds awareness right back. That's why the acceleration feels unstoppable. Practical example, someone decides to embody courage rather than fear. Almost immediately, they notice conversations, opportunities, or messages aligning with that frequency. A friend calls with unexpected support, or a door opens in a place they never looked before. The field reacts not to words, but to the energetic state. This feedback loop strengthens the transformation, making reality feel like a domino chain triggered by a single shift in consciousness. And that's where overwhelm can sneak in. Many people describe this stage as too much happening at once. Time compresses, events seem stacked on top of each other. One moment you're processing a new job, the next you're meeting someone who changes your perspective, then a synchronicity leads you to information that alters your awareness again. The field is accelerating because it finally has enough coherence to mirror momentum without delay. Imagine standing in front of multiple mirrors, reflecting endlessly back and forth. Each reflection multiplies, creating an infinite corridor of images. That's the feedback loop. Your state reflecting into the field, and the field amplifying it into new layers of reality. This recursive unfolding is why manifestation often feels exponential once it starts. What began as a small impulse turns into a surge, reshaping not just isolated events, but entire timelines of possibility. A good practice here is grounding. When acceleration kicks in, daily rituals help stabilize your nervous system so awareness doesn't fragment. Meditation, journaling synchronicities, or even walking in nature can act as anchors. Think of it like installing stabilizers on a rocket. The propulsion is immense, but balance keeps the process sustainable. By grounding, you ensure the energetic potential doesn't burn out, but continues unfolding in alignment with transformation. Personal story. I once experienced weeks where synchronicities happened so often it felt like living inside a coded reality. Random conversations echoed my private thoughts, books practically fell off shelves with the exact information I needed, and time felt compressed to the point of unreality. At first I felt disoriented, almost dizzy, but when I grounded, breathing, journaling, practicing awareness, the chaos turned into clarity. The loop wasn't overwhelming anymore. It became empowering. And here lies the transition. While the feedback loop accelerates transformation, there's also an invisible resistance that can emerge. The mind often tries to take back control, creating friction with the natural unfolding. This cosmic friction can stall or distort the process if unrecognized, which leads us directly to the next stage, facing the invisible resistance that appears when you try to swim against the current of the universe. At some point, resistance sneaks in, not from the universe, but from within. The mind, terrified of losing control, tries to wrestle back authority over the process. This creates what I call cosmic friction, where everything feels harder than it should. Instead of flowing with the energetic acceleration, you're dragging your feet through mud. Momentum stalls, synchronicities fade, and reality feels like it's glitching. But the truth is, the field hasn't abandoned you. It's waiting for surrender. I once tried to control my own transformation. I had felt the quantum impulse, the unfolding synchronicities, the feedback loop gaining power. Yet I clung to my old timeline, forcing outcomes that no longer matched my frequency. The result? Doors slammed shut, projects collapsed, and life felt like it was grinding against invisible gears. That resistance wasn't punishment. It was awareness showing me where I refused to let go. The field mirrors attachment as chaos. Here's the paradox. The harder you try to control, the less control you actually have. Imagine trying to surf a wave while insisting it follow your commands. You push against the momentum, and instead of riding the current, you wipe out. The universe doesn't respond to force, it responds to flow. Resistance creates distortion, while surrender allows spontaneous transformation to accelerate. The field is always reflecting your inner posture, tense or open, rigid or receptive. Practical exercise, pause and ask, where am I forcing outcomes? Maybe you're clinging to a relationship that already dissolved energetically. Maybe you're holding on to work that no longer fits your consciousness. These attachments create invisible knots in the field, slowing manifestation. A small step, like journaling fears or practicing breathwork, helps loosen resistance. By recognizing the process, you align momentum back with flow. Awareness turns the invisible into something you can release. This stage often teaches humility. We realize how little our rational plans shape reality compared to the quantum field's unfolding intelligence. Resistance is simply the ego trying to preserve itself. It's like keeping training wheels on a bike even after you've learned balance. At some point, those wheels only slow you down. Invisible resistance is your reminder that surrender isn't weakness, it's mastery. It's trust that the universe knows the terrain better than you. Personal story. I remember a project I pushed for months, convinced it had to succeed. No matter how much energy I invested, nothing worked. Meetings fell through, money drained, results evaporated. Finally, exhausted, I let it go. Within weeks, a different opportunity arrived, easier, more aligned, and 10 times more rewarding. That collapse wasn't failure. It was resistance releasing. The moment I surrendered, momentum surged again, proving the field rewards openness, not control. Humor can soften resistance too. Think about how absurd it is, a tiny human trying to command the universe. It's like yelling at the ocean to stop making waves. When you catch yourself forcing, laugh gently at the futility. That small shift lightens the energy, dissolves rigidity, and opens space for the field to respond differently. Awareness expands through humility, and transformation accelerates the moment resistance is recognized for what it is, a teacher. And here's the loop opening. Once resistance is released, the field doesn't just reward surrender. It begins sending subtle tests. These aren't punishments, but micro-experiments, checking if your expansion is sustainable. They appear as discomfort in old spaces, unexpected ruptures, or accelerated connections. The invisible resistance paves the way for the next stage, the micro-tests of expansion, where the universe scans your readiness to hold the frequency you've stepped into. After surrender, the universe begins a quieter but equally profound process. It tests you. These aren't grand trials of suffering, but micro-tests, subtle ways the field checks if your expansion is sustainable. You might feel uncomfortable in environments that once felt familiar. Old friendships may suddenly feel heavy, conversations no longer resonate, and spaces you once enjoyed seem draining. These shifts aren't punishment. They are the quantum field scanning your awareness to see if you're ready to stabilize momentum. Think of it like a new pair of shoes. At first, they feel stiff, rubbing against your skin, but over time, your body adjusts, or you realize those shoes simply aren't a fit. Microtests operate the same way. They reveal where the old frequency no longer supports your unfolding transformation. Every discomfort is information. The field uses these spontaneous moments to highlight whether you've truly dissolved the persona or if you're still tempted to step back into it. Personal story. I once walked into a gathering I would have loved months before. Yet that night, it felt alien, loud, disconnected, almost suffocating. I left early, confused at first, until I recognized it as a test. The discomfort wasn't rejection, it was recognition. My awareness had shifted, and the field was accelerating me out of spaces that no longer matched my energetic potential. That realization turned what felt strange into a confirmation of growth. Practical example, when you sense this discomfort, don't rush to fix it. Instead, sit with it. Journal what feels off. Is it the energy of the people, the conversations, the space itself? These notes act like a map of your evolving consciousness. Over time, you'll see a pattern, synchronicities pulling you toward new circles, new opportunities, and even new places that feel aligned. The process is about recognition, awareness catching up with the reality already unfolding. Microtests can also show up as sudden ruptures. A relationship ends unexpectedly, a job closes, or a plan falls apart without warning. At first, the mind panics, but if you pause, you'll notice these breaks often make room for something accelerated to enter. It's the field scanning your capacity to trust. Will you collapse back into resistance, or will you allow transformation to continue its momentum? Each rupture is a question only awareness can answer. On the flip side, microtests sometimes appear as accelerated connections. You meet someone new who feels oddly familiar, as if the universe hand-delivered them into your timeline. Conversations unfold effortlessly, synchronicities link your paths, and momentum flows. The test here is simple. Will you recognize this as manifestation aligned with your frequency, or will you dismiss it as coincidence? Recognition expands reality, while dismissal stalls it. Awareness is the deciding factor in which door solidifies. Humor helps here too. You'll notice how the universe sometimes tests you with playful precision. You think about leaving old habits, and suddenly someone invites you into exactly that old scenario. It's like the field asking, "Are you sure you're done with this?" Smile at these tests. They're not traps but mirrors, reflecting how deeply your consciousness has transformed. Every response you give becomes a signal, feeding momentum into the next stage of manifestation. And once these microtests confirm your readiness, the universe reveals the deeper secret. You're not just part of the process, you are the process. Reality isn't something happening to you, it's unfolding through you. Which brings us to the next stage, the code of the observer, where transformation accelerates not by what you do, but by what you inevitably are in the quantum field. At the heart of quantum transformation lies the code of the observer. It's not about what you think you want or even what you imagine. It's about what you can't help but be. The field responds to essence, not effort. This is why you don't attract what you merely wish for. You attract what your awareness has already embodied. Like a mirror, the universe reflects the state you bring to it, and momentum builds from that recognition. Imagine standing in front of a mirror trying to smile while frowning inside. The reflection won't change because the truth can't be faked. The same principle applies to manifestation. You can repeat affirmations all day, but if fear is your dominant state, the collapse will reflect fear. The observer's code is brutally honest. It doesn't reward surface words, only the spontaneous frequency of your consciousness. Reality unfolds not from your mouth, but from your being. Personal story. I once told myself I trusted the process, but deep down, I was anxious, doubting every step. The result? Life mirrored the anxiety. Plans stalled, synchronicities dried up, momentum slowed. Only when I shifted awareness, embodying calm trust rather than forcing it, did the field accelerate again. Doors opened, synchronicities multiplied, and reality unfolded effortlessly. The code was clear. The field doesn't listen to what you say, it listens to what you are. Practical example, if you want to embody abundance, don't just say, I am abundant. Practice acting from abundance now. Share generously, however small the act, a kind word, a helping hand, a book gifted to someone who needs it. Each action reinforces awareness. The field recognizes this momentum, collapsing into realities aligned with generosity. Manifestation unfolds not through declarations, but through lived frequency. The observer's code is written in actions that reveal your state. This is why some people seem to magnetize opportunities effortlessly. It's not luck, it's coherence. Their awareness is congruent with the field, so manifestation feels spontaneous. Others may struggle for years because their consciousness is fragmented, saying one thing, feeling another, acting from fear. The code doesn't allow for shortcuts. It's as if the universe has a built-in lie detector, scanning not your words but your energy. The field mirrors authenticity only. Humor slips in here too. You'll notice how often the universe trolls your inconsistencies. Say you're done with scarcity, then panic over a small bill. Instantly, another expense appears. It's not cruelty, it's the observer's code at play, reflecting your actual state. Awareness grows when you see the humor in this. Instead of frustration, you recognize the feedback as information. The field isn't mocking you, it's teaching you the law of coherence. This code can feel like both freedom and responsibility. Freedom because once you embody alignment, nothing external can stop the collapse. Responsibility because you can't fake it. Awareness becomes your compass. Are you embodying fear or embodying trust? Every moment is a choice point. The field scans continuously, unfolding synchronicities, testing coherence and accelerating momentum wherever recognition is most authentic. The process never stops. It adapts to the observer's frequency. And here lies the greater revelation. Your transformation isn't just personal. Once you've unlocked the observer's code, your frequency ripples into the collective field. Every authentic embodiment creates resonance beyond yourself. The universe doesn't isolate your awareness. It networks it, connecting it to others in synchronicity, which brings us directly into the final stage, the collective journey, where individual transformation ignites a chain reaction in the larger web of consciousness. When one person shifts, it doesn't happen in isolation. The field is collective, and every transformation ripples outward. Your awareness is not just your own. It's a node in a vast quantum network. Each time you embody a higher frequency, the impulse moves through the web of consciousness, sparking synchronicities in lives you may never meet. What feels like a personal transformation becomes an energetic contribution, accelerating momentum across the universe. Picture a grid of lights. When one bulb glows brighter, the glow spreads, influencing the ones around it. Soon, clusters of brilliance form, reshaping the entire field. That's what your transformation does. The process unfolding within you creates resonance, awakening potential in others. Manifestation doesn't stop with the individual observer. It's amplified through the collective observer. The universe itself reorganizes reality when enough nodes awaken, shifting timelines for all. Personal story. I once shared an insight casually with a friend, not realizing it was the exact recognition they needed. That moment changed their perspective, and weeks later they told me it had sparked a chain of synchronicities in their life. I thought it was a small conversation, but it became part of their transformation. The field used me as a channel, reminding me that every awareness we embody might be the momentum another person requires. This is why solitude and expansion are never wasted. Even when you feel alone, your transformation is contributing to the network. Think of it like tuning an instrument in an orchestra. The sound may feel personal, but once you play, the vibration influences the whole. Your frequency adds coherence to the collective field, stabilizing the energetic potential of others. Reality is a shared symphony, and every observer is both a musician and a listener. Practical example: if you've embodied more peace, notice how others feel calmer in your presence without you saying a word. If you've expanded awareness, conversations shift naturally around you. This isn't manipulation, it's resonance. The universe designed us as transmitters and receivers, unfolding information through connection. Your transformation becomes a silent invitation for others to awaken. The process is contagious, not through force, but through authenticity. Humor sneaks into this too. You might laugh, noticing how your own shifts cause ripple effects in the most unlikely places. A stranger smiles back at you, a tense room relaxes, or synchronicities seem to multiply around people you've recently spent time with. The collective journey often reveals itself in these small, playful ways. The universe loves weaving momentum subtly, reminding us that awareness doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. The collective journey also carries responsibility. Once you realize your transformation affects others, every choice gains weight. Are you feeding resistance into the field, or are you unfolding coherence? The universe doesn't demand perfection, but awareness. Each observer contributes either friction or flow to the web. Recognizing this truth elevates your transformation from personal liberation to collective service. It's not just about you anymore, it's about the field we're all shaping. And so the cycle continues. Signals, dissolution, collapse, feedback, resistance, tests, embodiment, and collective resonance. Every stage prepares the next, looping infinitely, each observer both student and teacher of the process. The journey is never isolated. Your momentum feeds the universe, and the universe feeds you back. The unfolding doesn't end here. It only expands into the next horizon of consciousness. The transformation isn't something you need to chase, it's already in motion. Every strange feeling, every shift in your daily rhythm, every synchronicity appearing in your path is proof that momentum has begun. You're not a container being filled with energy. You are the energy, unfolding, recognizing itself through awareness. Your very presence here is part of the synchronicity. This video isn't just content, it's evidence. Evidence that the universe is reflecting back to you the reality you've already stepped into. You are not watching a video. You are witnessing your next version calling you forward. If you felt something activate within you, anchor it now. Comment below, "I am the shift," or "I surf the impulse." These aren't just words, they are energetic anchors, sealing this recognition into your field. Like writing down a dream before it fades, your comment grounds the transformation. And if this resonated, don't just keep it to yourself. Like, share, and subscribe so you can continue receiving the next codes, activations, and synchronicities. And don't miss the next video waiting on your screen. It isn't random. It's part of your immersion into self-discovery and quantum alignment. Your journey is only beginning.